I think there are a few definitions that we need to clear up. So, these days everybody seems to be getting into nerd culture, but there are still a few people who are unclear about the definitions. So, I thought I'd help out and sort of do a PSA for it. Here are the definitions of a nerd, of a dork, and of a geek. So, what's a nerd? I know in some circles the term nerd has a bad rap, but I think the universal definition of a nerd is 1. Someone who has a passion for knowledge and/or a passion for learning. And, as John Green would add, someone who's unapologetically enthusiastic. So, now that we have that down, what's a dork? Basically, a dork is someone who's socially awkward, quirky, sort of a little bit different. And don't worry, it's not a bad thing. Sure, when you're trying to have a conversation with somebody and you just don't know what's socially acceptable, it can get a little bit awkward, but while you're on the internet, everybody has a little bit of dork in them, so just embrace it. And finally, what's a geek? Another term that I find that people get confused with. A geek is someone who has an obsession with a certain thing or a certain subject. And generally they're nerdy subjects, but it could be about anything. You could be a garden geek, or a tech geek, a Star Trek geek, a Doctor Who geek. If you read a bunch of Wikipedia articles about it, have a Tumblr about it, etc, etc, etc. Just anybody who has an obsession with a certain thing. So those are what I find should be the universal definitions of those terms. And just remember, someone calls you a nerd, geek, or dork, they're not bad things. As many of us on the internet know, embrace it because it's totally, totally awesome. DFTBA! As John Green would add, someone who's unapologetically enthusiastic.